Oh, here comes Jeff. All right, so Ty, can we add somebody? Can we add Jeff or no?
Yeah. Yep, he's
Okay.
here.
All right. So why don't we call the regular meeting of the Kent Inland Wetlands Commission to order at 7? My clock says 7:02. I don't know if it's right or not. I'm pulling up my agenda. Oops, wrong one. Where's my agenda? There it is. And for the record, show that Land Use Administrator Ty Kern is here, along with our Administrative Assistant Donna Hayes, and regular members Lynn Warner, Paul Yeager, Marge Smith, and Ken Dietz. And Jeff is here too, and let's maybe take a motion to,
I'll make a motion to elevate Jeff to voting status.
thanks, Paul. Second, thanks, Marge. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, good. All right, so did everybody have a chance to read all these minutes?
I did. Amazing job. Donna, was that you?
It's Donna.
Donna, good job, Donna.
That was really something.
She just
Thank you.
So if we've all had a chance to look at them, does anybody want to make any suggestions or corrections?
Nope.
So hearing none, then I think we could take them all as one and vote on them all with a motion.
I will do that. Make an enthusiastic motion to approve all 3 meeting minutes as written.
Great. Do we have
And enthusiastic.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Okay. Any abstention or opposition? Okay, good. All right, so we're going to move right into old business. And note for the record, application 1336-24, the applicant has granted an extension to the April meeting. Ty, do we need to officially accept that extension, or is that all we need is his?
Yeah, no, we're at that point in the timeline where now he's granting extensions to the commission to make a decision. So rather than, deny it for a lack of information, he has an extra 65 days where he can grant extensions. So you don't need to accept it. I have a letter on record saying that he's allowing.
Okay, super. All right, so noted for the record. And then also for the record, note that application 1338-24 Gorham Road has been withdrawn. Just a quick question, Ty, on that withdrawal. I noted that, it was because he had relocated the driveway to a foot outside of the regulated area. But I
Septic.
wondered if there was any concern on your part about impact to the wetland regardless.
So, I mean, if you remember during the last meeting, you had discussed with him, can you go back to your engineer and see if you could move that outside the regulated area? And I was kind of shocked that they hadn't done that from the beginning. So, when he came back with it, I was a little bit surprised, but it seems like they've got a good plan for erosion control and silt fence, and we'll just keep a really close eye on it, but it's not within the regulated area, so there really isn't,
Well, we can look at impacts to a wetland. I just
Okay.
didn't know if anybody else had any concerns, so I thought I'd just put it out there. I don't, but Paul,
No.
Marge,
Nope.
No.
Jeff,
Nope.
Ken?
No.
Okay, very good. So we will, again, we don't need to acknowledge that it's been withdrawn, and that's all that needs to be on the record, right? Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to 4C, application 1339-24, Andrea Budd. This is the after the fact application. And Ty, did you have anything else to update us with here?
So, I mean, the site walk occurred on Monday. I think Paul, Jeff, and Ken joined Donna out on site again. They took some good pictures, so I'll let them talk about what they saw. The one thing that I did after seeing the pictures, I just wanted to understand like when all the clearing happened and when the area started to kind of transform. So I went back to Google Earth, and it seems like in 2018 is when all the trees disappeared and the opening started to happen. So that was prior to this current owner. So it's hard to, determine how much work was done after the new owner or before, I don't know that it really matters. But a lot of work has occurred within the regulated area in the wetlands, you can see from the pictures. So that's the only thing I have to kind of say. And one other thing is, Andrea did come into the office and just amend the application a little bit to say that, she's willing to do some kind of restoration to the area and so she added that on her application. Didn't have, we don't yet have any kind of, professional involved or anything like that, but it seems like she's willing to do that, to get somebody in to see what needs to be done. So. What's your-
So Paul or Ken, your thoughts on this?
The other Ken that went, I didn't.
Oh, the other Ken went. Are you okay,
Yeah.
Ken?
I don't have much voice. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So Paul?
I could pretty much confirm what Ty was just saying. There was extensive work done. But here again, putting a timestamp on that is difficult. Across the brook, there's, a lot of trees and brush, well, mostly brush that was taken down. I didn't see anything resprouting, so I'm not sure how long ago it was done. There's one photograph that Donna took, which looked like a recently redressed stream crossing for a machine. Here again, I don't know how old that was, but it was definitely raked out very recently. As far as continuing work there, I think it's something we need to, to monitor. I do agree that we have to insist on some kind of restoration planting to help retain the area and keep it what it is, a wetland. Wetland is important, especially with the flooding that could occur there. It acts like a sponge. With all of the water directed, into a stream, it's going to increase velocity, and further down the line, it's going to have consequences.
So in terms of a replanting plan, is that kind of what you're talking about, Paul? Wanting to see a
Yes.
replanting plan? And how much time do we have on this application, Ty?
Let's see, a decision by May 2nd, I think I got, and then plus extensions are allowed for. So we've got some time.
So we could look at a revised planting plan, restoration plan, at our next meeting and conceivably take action at that meeting. That's what you're saying. Yeah, okay. So, Andrea, what do you think about that? And you're muted, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think I would like to consult a landscaper and someone who's familiar with the wetland and, yeah, add some, I wanted to do some ryegrass seeding for stabilization and maybe some trees. This is my idea, but yeah, that's something I could consider. Absolutely.
And do you, Paul or Ty, do you have concerns about wanting to get something in the ground now, before we hit even more rain, which I think we're getting in 2 days?
So, yeah, I mean, Andrea reached out to me shortly after the last meeting and she wanted to throw down some ryegrass seed, which I thought that's not going to hurt anything. But then later she contacted me and said that the ryegrass seed wasn't going to take unless she put topsoil in. And at that point I was like, no, you have to wait until the commission gets out there and sees the condition of the site. So, I mean, I think it's not a bad idea to that's not going to hurt anything. If she needs to add something to make it stay, it makes good sense at this point, but I didn't want that to happen a couple of weeks ago before you guys actually got a chance. I didn't want anything to be deposited before you had a chance to see it.
Yeah, and if there were topsoil to be put down, obviously there needs to be some sedimentation control put in. And we don't have that to look at either in terms of, approving anything. That would be an interim measure, though. Would that be acceptable to the commission?
To be honest with you, with the amount of wood chips that are down there, just seeding it's not going to cut it. I'd much rather see some kind of a plan by a landscape architect or designer with wetlands experience make a suggestion.
So what do you think about in the interim, though, between now and our April meeting?
Between now and April, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to, substantially benefit that area.
Is there erosion control already up?
No.
So maybe we should at least be asking for that in the interim.
Well, looking at the site, there are pictures. I don't know if Ty could put them up. As far as any flooding goes, I don't know what could possibly be done to control that. I mean, upstream from that across the road, there's coming down New Preston Hill, there's, a lot of water flow, and you can see how it tracks across the front part of the property into the brook, as well as the upstream of the brook and other culverts running into it. So there is a lot of flow coming into it.
So there's nothing.
I'm not a professional. I really don't know what the answer is there.
So you don't have a concern about sedimentation and erosion control in the interim? It's just kind of flooding
No.
and then receding.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can just throw my 2 cents in, I think I agree with Paul there. I think there's a lot of water that comes into that stream, and there's no erosion control that is their kind of responsibility in terms of you wouldn't put anything in their yard that would reduce it. If the volume is so high in the stream that it's going to erode, but no one's here is going to change the amount of volume or trajectory of the stream. I do think that the wood chips that are there may help if we get heavy rain like we did on Saturday. It may help water running off the yard into it, and the wood chips may help disperse that a little bit, or they might float away.
Yeah.
But I think I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the homeowner's name, Mrs.
Bud,
Yes. If you didn't notice that after Saturday that a lot of the wood chips are now in the stream, then I think we're probably okay.
No, actually, it actually was remarkable that it stayed where it was. It's
Okay.
pretty good. I mean, it were definitely wet and swampy, but nothing's moved, which was good. Because most of the chips are a little bit away from the edge of the brook.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also the banks of the stream. Once you get out of the stream, it's relatively flat. So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of
Right.
erosion there,
Right.
other than when there's way too much water
Right.
coming through there.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for that. So the idea is then to get a replanting plan that can slow down the water and act as a buffer along the edge of the stream. Looks like that we can look at and act on at our next meeting. So,
Okay, can I just say one thing? There are a lot of things starting to bloom now. I mean, when you came, it was sort of dead winter and nothing's there, but I see a lot of green starting to grow now around the brook, and that skunk cabbage is growing as well.
so you might be able to incorporate that into your planting plan with a professional helping you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else that we would want to see prior to our next meeting? Other than the planting plan that maybe incorporates some existing vegetation that's reestablishing?
Do you have the images of the before and after from the satellite view? I'm just trying to understand what the conditions were before this was done.
Kai, do you have that?
it would take, I would have to Google Earth that. It would take me a couple
Can you
seconds.
maybe get that to us before the next meeting so we have it? That'd be great.
Yeah,
That's a good
absolutely.
idea.
I'll pull it up then. That's okay.
Actually, it would be good to have that for the rest of the commission, though.
You want to see it right now?
No,
No, okay.
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. I think knowing what it used to look like, knowing what's coming back in and knowing what a professional is saying needs to be, I mean, planted, I think that's enough for the next meeting, unless the rest of the commission would like to see the Google Earth pictures. It would, you know, if you do, that's fine.
Yeah, I
At
mean,
this
it's
minute.
substantially different. I mean, it was all treed, that
Yeah.
whole area when you go back to 2018, and now it's a huge gap, so
And you can see the
it's not,
impact.
yeah, it's not questionable. There were lots of trees. I mean, I'm not saying that these owners did it. I'm just saying that somewhere along the way, a lot of work was done.
Yeah, and you can see the result of it with the erosion. That's pretty significant, the undercut.
And
I do have a question
getting the
for
shade
Andrea.
back over the water is going to be important in whatever plan comes about.
Paul?
Yeah, I do have a question for Andrea. On the other side of the brook from your house, there's a gravel path that goes out into the wetlands. Where does that lead to?
Just down to the end, nothing, nowhere, actually. Just.
To
it's just
nowhere?
like-
Andrea, can you
Yeah,
just,
it just is because we wanted to have access to our property, so we just put a path, but it doesn't lead anywhere.
so it goes from your house down to the brook, is that right?
No, across the
No.
brook.
Oh, across the brook.
No,
Well,
it's-
where does
no.
it go to? Where does the path end?
In a field, hay fields.
Okay.
It's a gravel path.
So are you suggesting that we should, so Paul, are you suggesting that we should look at replanting along that path as it nears the brook?
Well, the path is on the other side of the brook and goes out into the wetlands and it disappears. And I was just asking, what does it lead to?
She said a hayfield.
A hayfield, yes.
So do you have a concern about that?
I was just wondering what the path was.
So I understand, but do you think it ought to be remediated in some way or eliminated?
I can't say without actually going over and walking out on the path to see, what impact it's had out there.
Where would the path be on this picture?
So, I mean,
This is
right here is,
2017.
this is 2017, the area, and then you move to 2018 and all of a sudden you see how it opens up like that.
Hmm.
That's pretty significant change in that year.
You can see the path in this picture.
Can you?
It comes at
Is
the
it-
bottom, right after this, keep moving down a little bit, and then across the river. Take your thumb and move it, yep, right across there. You can see the path picks up on the other side. That's quite a drastic change.
That's the way it was. It's crazy.
Okay, so are we looking for relatively significant replanting?
Yes.
And we're looking at not just bushes, but also trees. Is that right?
I mean, the vegetation was so thick you couldn't even see open water
Right,
before.
right,
It's swamp grass back there, I believe.
right. So, so whoever you consult with, you might want to share what was originally there with what's there now. And see if the functionality of the wetland can be restored to what it was. I don't know what to say about the path, Paul. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure Andre would go out there with you and walk the path, but I'm just not sure at this point kind of what you're looking for.
Here again, like I said, I was just wondering what that path was. If it was historically there to access a hayfield, or was it added later? Like I said, it is gravelled, so I don't know. Just,
Andrea, do you know? Did you guys put that path in, or was it there when you moved in?
I believe it was there when we moved in.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure why.
I don't know, I just unmuted. No, the path was there when we moved in.
Okay, so knowing that, Paul, what do you think? Do you want to see some restoration of that path, some returning it?
like I said, without going out and crossing the brook and walking down the path and seeing what impact it's had out there. It's, not like it's, from what I could see from where we were standing, you could see apparently there is a path there, but it doesn't look like it's, used daily to move, to drive back and forth to, like I said, I don't know why it was put there, if it's just accessing a hayfield.
Right, so the bigger question is, do you think it's having an impact on the wetland? And at this point in time, when we can put together a restoration plan, do you think there's something that we ought to be asking for that addresses the path?
I think that without us actually going back out there for another site walk and looking at it, asking that whoever is putting together a site restoration plan, look at it and address it.
Okay, that's actually a fair question. Is to ask your professional to take a look, Andrea, at that path, evaluate the impact of runoff and impact to the wetland from that path, and propose as part of the overall restoration plan, a plan to address that. Is that fair, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. I can't look at pictures sideways without getting dizzy.
I know.
I got a message from Donna and she thought it was picture 7 or 8. That was the pathway. So is this what I'm not sure which one. Are you recognizing the path?
No, not in that picture. Not there either.
But I think it's a fair request of the applicant's consultant. And we've captured that and asked Andrea to do it. And Andrea,
If
are
you're
you-
looking,
were you agreeing to do that, Andrea?
Yeah, I'll definitely have somebody take a look and see.
if you go
Make
back to
that-
that last picture,
Make that part of the evaluation of the impact
Yes.
on the wetland
That's
and
it.
any restoration plan.
Yes.
This is it, right, Paul? This is the
yes,
crossing?
yes, you can see where there was a crossing there. Obviously, to me, I've been doing this for 50 years. It looks like a machine crossing. And if you look,
Yeah.
looking towards the hayfield or open area out
Yeah,
there, there's a
yeah.
large tree to the right and there's brush to the left. The
Yeah,
path is
Yeah.
right between there. It's a gravel path that heads out that way,
see
right
it.
there.
Okay. So actually, this picture, if you could provide this to Andrea Ty, so that she can provide it to her consultant.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one of the things to note is the fact that that swampy area in the back there is the piece that feeds into the West Aspetuck River off of Tangway. So that property, they're on the corner of Kent Hollow and
Oh,
Tangway.
yeah, yeah.
And so it goes all the way back.
And it's very
I
important.
think I disagree with that. That area is dry and it does not go to the West Aspetuck River. And Tangway, our property goes back to the West Aspetuck River, but
Right.
over there it goes towards Kip's property. It's like, it almost is attached to Kip's property.
Right,
And
but the water
he-
flowing through
even
that stream area
he
goes into that
cut
feeding.
some path himself to come through on my property, which I said was okay, but he over there where you're talking, but it's dry there. That's
Ken,
That's not-
Dietz, you were saying something and I missed it.
No, it's okay.
But what did you say?
Oh, no, this water flowing through this stream area does dump into the swamp that collects together and forms the West Aspetuck.
Which is an
Regardless of-
important stream.
Yeah, yeah. So whether the swampy area immediately behind her house is and the stream that we're concerned about is.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, it sure looks like, I'm on my own Zoom. It definitely looks like it goes towards the West Aspetuck.
okay, all the more reason to take the restoration seriously, so we'll look forward to seeing the plan, professionally developed plan that takes into account restoration of the functionality of the wetland and addresses any questions, concerns related to the pathway.
Hmm.
And we'll go from there. Is there anything else?
No, just for Miss Bud's benefit, I mean, the West Aspetuck is one of the cleanest streams in the state. So that's where everyone's a little bit on edge on this one. It's a really sensitive wetland. So it's a little bit different than most of what we're looking at.
Although we treat all wetlands the same. But I agree. I agree. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, then we just need a motion to defer this application to the next regular meeting with the understanding that we're looking for a professionally developed restoration plan that will restore the swamp's viability and address other concerns such as the path and anything else that your consultant might find. Is that fair? So we need a motion.
So moved.
We need a second.
No, second?
Thanks. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Okay, great. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time and your attention to this. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good
All
night.
right. All right, so we are going to move on to new business application 1341-24, Kenma and Kenwood, and this is again an after the fact shore dock and boat launch. Ty, you want to just kind of give us the basics?
Yeah, so this is on the Albin property, which is now an estate. Attorney Scaniers is representing the property owner now and came across in reviewing the files that this pathway, kind of like a wood road, but it appears to have been gravelled a little bit because it kind of went directly through the wetlands, so they probably needed that gravel to drive, had been added along with, a boat launch and a dock without any permits showing in the file for any of that activity. So I did do a quick little staff report on it. I mean, it's quite a long pathway, almost, 2,000 feet as far as I measured it kind of quickly on the plan. He does have a complete application here. Because it's after the fact, some of this stuff just doesn't apply, but he's given me all the information that I think you would need to understand what occurred here. So again, I went back on the Google Earth and I think, what one was this one? 2012, it appeared that pathway, at least, you can't really see when the dock and everything else was put in, but the pathway kind of seemed to form around 2012 is when all this probably started to take place. So here we are. So
Excuse me.
Attorney Scaniers is on.
Hi, this is Michael Scaniers. I'm sorry, my camera's not working. I even got dressed up to meet with you tonight at 7 o'clock. The only thing that
You
I
should
would
never have to do that.
put on a tie, The only thing that I want to address that Ty just mentioned, if you look at the Google Earth picture of 2020, the path we're talking about is in the lower portion of that photograph. It's not the line across the top that's much more bold. It's about 1,800 feet. And it certainly goes through a wet area. And we did get some pictures of the dock. So you can see it's the reason we're applying for the dock is it's a fairly substantial structure. It's not something that you're going to take up at the end of the season. My clients are, I think the word is chagrined when they discovered, when they were talking with the real estate broker, that these things are there. And so after a meeting with Ms. Kern, we came back and filed this application after the fact and are asking the commission to look at it, and we hope will approve it. You can see that this piece of property, once you get down off the road, get into wetlands real quick. So there's gonna be, there's never a possibility of construction down in that area. But,
Excuse me 1 minute. Somebody's got some background noise going on. If they could mute, that'd be great. I'm sorry, Mike. Could you repeat the last sentence? That you s-
I have actually been out there, and you can see that when you come off North Spectacle Lake and go up towards Kinmont Road, a lot of that area is wetland. And nothing's ever going to happen there. And the access road is a dirt road built on logs. Water can flow back and forth on each side of it. I think when you see it, it doesn't do much except get you down to this dock.
Mhm.
The only place that you might build a house is up near the road.
So I
And
guess the question is, would we have approved this dock? How big is this dock?
it looks bigger in the photograph than it really is. I think it's about 15 feet at most.
1.5,
Yes, ma'am.
and it goes out over a wet area into the. Does it hit open water?
Yes, if in fact you go back to the photograph,
Looks like it's kind of over a swampy area.
it extends into the pond or to the lake.
Okay.
I'm,
And you don't remove this? This is a permanent structure?
it's not something that you would take up at the end of the season and put back in the beginning of the season without a fair amount of trouble.
The posts are dug into the lake bed?
When I was looking at it, it looks to me like they are in the lake bed.
Trying to find out where it is.
What, Marge?
I'm just trying to look and see on the Zoom thing where, I mean, the satellite view where this is.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
Is there a street number for it?
I don't think so. There's nothing there.
But it must have an,
So Marge, if you look between, where Mr. Albin's little Cape house is on
Maybe.
Kenmont there?
Not really.
So you're going through the camp
Okay. If
and
keep
you make
going-
that turn where the tree farm is. It's right at the beginning of the tree farm there on
Ah,
Kenmont, on the
okay.
lake side.
Okay, all right, I was in the wrong spot.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly correct. You go through the tree farm.
Yeah,
Right.
And the path is, as you can see from the survey, if you have it, it's really close to the property line with the camp land. So it's not down through the middle of the property. I was a little worried, in fact, that they had encroached, but they
got
didn't.
it. Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
and when do you think it went in?
I think sometime after 2/12 and obviously before 2020. I've asked, but nobody has a good recollection. Mr. Alvin, of course, is no longer with us.
Thoughts? From the commission?
I don't think we would have ever approved any of this.
Mm-mm.
So the option for the commission is to request it be removed. Or approve it after the fact. Thoughts?
What is the path? What's the path?
I've got a
moving?
question. The property with the wood road, that's not part of the Kenmont camp.
Correct.
Okay.
It is on what we call the Kenmont property because it's Kenmont and the,
Okay, I understand. That parcel is currently for sale, is it not?
yes, sir, it is.
Okay. The I'm familiar with that area of the lake, and that's, I mean, even in the pictures, you can see it's rather shallow. It's mostly lily pads and weeds. I really don't see, the dock serving much purpose except for the rowboat that's there. Was there any other purpose for it? I mean, were they planning on putting a ski boat down there or?
I doubt very much. It's pretty shallow, as you say. And the ramp, the dock is simply, as you point out, to get the boat and a canoe out into the water where you could paddle around.
Yep.
It's not susceptible to much other use.
It's definitely going through a marsh,
Yeah.
a standing surface water area to
Yeah.
get down to the edge of that, but aquatic vegetation.
That's correct.
And when was the dock put in?
I'm sorry, the question was when? I don't know. It was a surprise to David Albin that either of these things were even there once he came in and started looking at it.
You said sometime between 2012 and 2020.
Okay.
That's what I believe. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, looking at the satellite history on it, it looks like it was progressed that the access way was slowly being built over time,
Over what time?
with years
Yeah.
from
Like-
2012 on through. There's a lot of progress between 12 and 13, and it doesn't look like very much progress from 13 until 15. Here, if I screen share here.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's it. This is, yeah, okay, this is 2015. Ty's first image is this. Then you see the progress of the road to here. That's 2012, March 2012. September of 2013, it comes all the way out
Wow.
here. But then 14, it doesn't really see, it seems like it gets built up, but it doesn't really seem to extend any further. 15, it makes it another, however far out. I don't see the scale on this map. Yeah, I'm not sure what that linear distance is, but it makes progress there, and then you start seeing it coming together in this open water section here in 16. 17, that looks pretty.
Wow.
18, it's still kind of the same through here. So somewhere from this point forward, they were able to get out to where that dock extends out. This is not lily pads. This is much denser than lily pads. Lily pads would be out here in what's black in the off season. So there's more development of this after these pictures, and in order to be able to have that waterside picture that they show with the gravel deposited and the dock there. So if we're going to ask them to take this out, I don't know whether the cure is worse than the disease. I mean, the work that it would take to undo this at this point is going to be extensive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the instinct is to remove it, all of it,
Yeah,
and restore it.
because if there's an impact in removing it, it wouldn't be permanent. I mean, hopefully
Right.
the area would grow back.
The part of removing it would be having, if there's gravel in there, you're gonna bring equipment in there, you're gonna dig up all the gravel. I think at this point, you
Or
say
you
remove
or
the,
you take it out the same way you put it in, slow but sure.
or remove the dock and let nature take its course and fill in everything.
You could do that too.
Yeah,
To be candid, to get in there and remove the gravel and whatnot on an 1800, a pathway is going to be more destructive than anything else.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it could be removed slowly over time and replanted slowly over time, or as Paul suggests, the dock could be removed and the access way abandoned, because it's not approved, and let nature take its course.
That would seem to be the more logical way to proceed.
Mhm.
I've explained to my clients that the dock is probably going to have to be removed, and for some of the reasons that you're discussing. And if the rule is that they can't do anything, whoever owns the property in the future is not allowed to do anything to maintain that pathway, that would seem to serve your purposes.
Yeah.
My,
That
my,
pathway
oh,
cuts
sorry.
right through the wetland, and we would never have approved that. I mean,
My other concern is what did he use to, I'm assuming it was a prior homeowner, the prior property owner, but what was used to build this?
yeah, what is that? Is that gravel?
I don't know. Is this construction fill? I mean, what material do you have access to build something this long? I mean, this is a really soft, kind of unstable area to be
Yeah,
able to have moved all of this across whatever he did originally. What is it that this is made out of?
We probably ought to figure that out. That's a good point.
I don't think it's just wood. Maybe there's wood on top, but I think there's
Or-
got to be something more substantial in there.
It's probably gravel and dirt,
yeah.
Hopefully,
because you're
Hopefully.
filling in the wetland here.
Hopefully.
So
It's
that's,
hopefully it's gravel and dirt.
yeah,
It's not filled in, it's built up on
right.
logs. And then the surface of the logs is used to put some dirt on to make it passable. It
But
is
this-
not filled.
I'm sorry, it's built up on what?
There's a huge amount of logs above the water level that are
That's what it
actually,
looks like. Yeah,
yeah.
a lot of logs in there, which in a way is maybe a good thing because they will rot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be inclined to leave them if they're logs.
Yeah, I think get the dock out of
But if they're
there.
logs over construction debris, I'd be more concerned.
It really doesn't look like it. There's a lot of logs going crosswise. And then in some cases, it looks like there's plenty of dirt on top of it.
I'm stuck on my own screen.
But
Sorry, here.
it's not filled in, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Weird.
Marge, what pictures are you looking at, Marge? Is it in the drive?
Yeah, I'm on Google Earth.
Okay.
can you share that?
No, I don't know how. I mean, it's the same thing Ken's got,
Oh, okay, I'll go
but
back.
just zoom way in on whatever Ken was just looking at. Zoom way in.
Yeah, you can see there's
Yeah.
definitely thatching
Yeah,
to it, like
yeah,
at the
go
end
way
here.
in. Yeah, there you go.
No, go even more, because all I see it, there we
Log,
go.
log, 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 log,
There
log,
we
log.
go.
And then
But
keep
what
going
is
back to,
this?
that's all, I think you can see the logs
I can see
crosswise
logs.
underneath whatever the dirt is,
Yeah,
right there.
and if that's all it is, then great. I mean, logs and
Yeah.
dirt are probably the least impactful thing we could have put there.
And that's what it is, sir. It's logs.
Where
I
did all the logs come?
I marveled at the size of some of them, to tell you the truth. You can
Yeah.
see in the middle now, it's clear it's logs.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's what I
the
noticed
surface
too.
is
There's
clearly
some-
logs. Yeah,
there's
that's
some
what I just
gaps in
said.
it.
What's
that's what I
Oh.
was wondering when the dock was put in, because it looks like the road itself is already sort of falling apart or
Falling
not
apart,
finished.
right. Okay, that's really helpful.
I can't imagine winter is too kind on this when the ice comes up.
No,
But can you see can you see the dock?
I can't
No.
see the dock. That's what I kept going back and forth between the picture and the Earth Earth view.
No.
I don't see the dock anywhere.
And this picture series cuts off at 2018. There's nothing in this one
Well,
new.
and the dock looks brand new.
It
This
does.
is really weird.
It is weird.
So if this cuts off at 2018, has the road been improved in order to get that new dock in?
I'm gonna venture a guess and say no.
Okay,
You know, maybe it's something we want to look at, but that dock is being held by posts that were driven in. You know, there's not a footing, there's not concrete, they're just driven straight down and in.
Are you
And I'm
sure?
sure that was accessed from the water, not from the land.
You think
oh, I
so?
didn't think about that. Duh. That would make sense.
Mike, when you were out there, can you confirm that the posts are driven into that there's no concrete that was poured or anything like that?
They're posting in the ground, so to speak. The logs hang from them. There's no cement. There's no fill underneath that. It's just on top, and it's all logs the whole way down.
Okay.
This is a better picture to show its sort of its orientation with respect to the pond. And if the photos stop at 2018, 2019, looks like, I think there's probably been a little more extension, maybe another 100 feet or so towards the pond, which is how the only way you could get down there to put that pier in there, that dock,
Right.
and to get it out, of course.
But what about Paul's idea of having been put in from the water side?
I can't speak to that. It
There's
was
not a public,
it was a surprise to a number of us to discover the dock was even there. I have no idea who was using it. I know it wasn't Mr. Albin.
But he owned the property, didn't he?
Actually, no, this is owned by Ken Mott and Ken Wood.
Right.
In this picture, if you look up in the left-hand corner, as somebody pointed out earlier, the Albin lot is right there at that intersection with the white line on Ken Mott. That's what he owns. This is owned by, it was a corporation, now it's an LLC, Ken Mott and Ken Wood.
But it's still, I mean, Lloyd, well,
I'm sorry, are you saying that
So
the
it's-
path, when it starts closest to that picture that you just had up, when it starts closest to Albin property, it's actually not on Albin property, it's on the Kenwood property.
This path is on the Ken Mott property.
Kenwood.
Kenwood, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
So parcel 2 on that map belongs to Kenwood?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about. It also used to own parcel 1. This was all owned by Ken Mott and Kenwood.
Okay. All right.
So I'm confused. If that's their property, why aren't they here?
I think
They
you're,
are.
I think you're So I was very confused by the whole thing and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I think that we're thinking of the camp. And then there's an entity called Kenwood LLC. And then there's the Kenwood Camp. And then there was Lloyd Albin's property. So there's 3 things going on here. The camp wasn't involved in this. It's the LLC. Attorney Scaniers,
Represents
correct
them.
me if I'm wrong, but I thought the LLC actually was owned by Mr. Albin.
That's true. I just
that's what I
was
thought.
talking about the title. In fact, when you look at this map, you see the camp land that used to belong to Ken Mott and Kenwood as well. That's Brad. What's Brad's last name? Anyway, that was a huge piece of land under the control of Mr. Albin.
So, I mean, it's fair to say that you are representing the current landowner, right, Mike?
That's correct.
Mhm. Okay,
I don't want to get hung up on the title and stuff. I just want to make sure we're looking all at the same picture. And when you look at this map, just 1222, right in the middle up at the top, you see those two little lots there? The one there, the lower one, that's in the name of Lloyd Alvin, or the estate now. And above it is yet another Kenwood, Kenmont parcel. So they owned this whole area at one time.
right. So for us, from our standpoint, we're dealing with the current landowner through Attorney Sconners, through Mike, with regard to where this activity is taking place. And we're trying to decide what's the best way to deal with this activity. And if the current landowner doesn't feel responsible for this and wants to go after the previous land, that's not our issue. Our issue is the current landowner is in violation, and we're trying to figure out what is the best way to deal with this from a wetland standpoint.
I understand that, and personally, although I'm an advocate as an attorney, it seems to me the most logical thing to do is to take out that dock that's even bigger than I thought it was actually, and let nature take its course otherwise, and a limitation that would restrict any improvement of the existing, what we call a path, you might call a road. And let Mother Nature take control.
And in removing that dock, it's your belief that those posts will be able to be pulled out?
Yes, yes. There's no footings, there's no concrete or anything. I think you just have to go out and use some elbow grease and take it out.
And you do that from the water?
Ma'am, I don't know.
I don't either. Paul? would
But
you
the
do that
water is
from the-
very, very
Yes.
shallow there. It's
They,
really
they,
shallow.
they would do it from the water.
Okay, and do you have any concern about that portion of it? It would be potential impact to the water, but probably limited.
It would be minimal.
It'll make things mucky for a while, but that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So Ty, from a procedural standpoint here, we've got an application. We would have to deny the application and request a remediation application.
Yeah, I mean, it would be almost like a denial and an order to remove the dock, right? And
And don't we want to see how that's going to be done?
I would imagine, yeah, that would make sense. Yes, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, I would, the proper way to do it, I'm a little bit
We should
baffled
check
by.
on.
I think I need to check on that. I mean, I think the right thing would be, you'd be denying the after the fact approval, but then moving forward with some kind of, order to remove and restore.
With respect to the dock.
Right.
Right.
That's what you're saying, Ty?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. The
I,
commission.
I, I'm not quite sure myself, but logic tells you that that's the most efficient way of doing this.
I mean, I can check with Attorney Ziska to make sure we do it properly.
Yeah.
So that means we are not going to take action tonight. We take action at the next meeting.
Yeah, and perhaps Attorney Scaniers can start working with somebody as he understands what the commission's wishes are, so he can come in with some kind of plan for removal.
That's a
the
good
next
idea.
meeting. That is
To
a great idea.
get advice on how to word the fact that we
I'll do
need to
that.
move
Yeah.
forward. And also figure out how they're gonna do it.
I will do so and be prepared to discuss that with you at your next meeting. Assuming it's 3 or 4 weeks away. Getting
It
people to
is.
come out and look at property is a real difficult thing right now.
Yeah. It would be the fourth Monday of April, I believe.
Oh, an eternity.
4 weeks anyway.
It's
long as I don't have to do it tomorrow.
April 22nd.
April 22nd. So for the time being, you're not clear, we could vote to deny this application, or you're not clear, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you could deny the after fact application.
And then just go from there at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, or you can just table it and I can see, I mean, maybe it would be more of a denial and an order at the same time, so.
Yeah, I think tabling it till next.
Why don't we just table it? I'll talk to
Yeah.
Attorney Ziska and he'll tell me exactly the right way to do it.
Exactly.
And then,
Yeah.
we won't have any snafus.
As long as we'd also be able, you think, to accept a new application at the next meeting as well.
If we need to, and I'll be in touch with Attorney Scaniers and let him know, what,
Okay,
everything in line for April 22nd.
all right, Ken Dietz and Jeff, are you also kind of in agreement that this is the direction we want to go?
I agree.
Yeah, my only concern is, didn't we already have an issue with this corporation?
What?
Didn't we already have an issue with this entity for unpermitted changes down at the waterfront?
I think so.
No, as I understand it,
I thought we
that was the camp.
Oh,
Okay, this is
good point.
not the camp.
Okay, that's why I'm asking the question, make sure.
Okay, thank you for that. It's this whole area. Oh, okay, thanks. So if that's the case, if we're ready to move in that direction, Ken, are you saying you're okay with moving in
Yeah,
that direction?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Then we just need a motion to table this application to the next regular meeting. With the understanding that we're gonna get clarity on how to, the best way to deny this application and receive a restoration application. Is that right? Is that fair? Do we need a motion?
So moved, but I'm not gonna repeat whatever that all was.
What she said.
Yes.
Second,
I'll second.
Okay,
thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I,
Oppose? Abstention? Mike, thank you for being here and trying to figure out what the heck's going on with us. We appreciate your time and candor, and we'll go from there.
I learned a long time ago, telling the truth is important. I'd like to say for the record to your commission, how helpful Ty Kern has been on this, and I appreciate that.
Yay, Ty.
We agree.
We appreciate her
Great.
too.
And if I could recruit her up here to Norfolk, I would.
No,
Don't you dare.
no,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, so we are gonna move on.
Others have tried to steal her away from us.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right, we're gonna move on
Can I
to,
ask a question?
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So I understand exactly what just happened in that situation. But what, as a commission, when we know when this land is going to be sold, that whoever's going to buy it is going to find this path, even if it's been abandoned,
Hmm.
and walk down to the water and then say, oh, I should put a dock here. Other than the fact that it's due diligence from the landowner to read the surveys and understand what they're supposed to and not supposed to do, is there something that we as a body need to do in the about this in the record of the property?
I'm not sure that we're able to modify land records.
I mean, everything that occurs at, these meetings and all the information ends up in their land use file. So when realtors come in, title searchers come in, attorneys come in, they see the history of the property.
But we
It's-
can't affect a we can't put an easement on a property or anything like that.
Oh, right. I wasn't thinking anything is like that's, but it just seems like someone who buys this is going to see this road and feel entitled to march to the sea.
We're just gonna have to
And
monitor it.
I don't know if there's anything we can or should do about it, but I just wanted to express it and just kind of, I'm just wondering out loud.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question.
Well, I don't think there's really anything we can do about it other than remove the road, require removal of the road. And that I think could be, as I think it was Ken Dietz who said worse than
Oh, the cause is worse than the. The cure's
Yeah.
worse than the,
disease. I think, Ty, do realtors actually go through the land use file for properties? So that's pretty common.
It is pretty common. The realtors traditionally are supposed to come in, I think, and review the file before they even put it on the market, so they have an understanding, but sometimes they do it a little bit late and they find out the problem's too late, but they do. Then the title searchers come in and the attorneys come in as well, so property, especially like this, will probably be pawed through quite a bit to understand it, and they'll see all those kind of flags
Mhm.
on the record, and hopefully they'll ask questions. In addition to that, I mean, if they want to develop the property, I'm going to be getting site plans
I was
and,
just gonna say,
I'm going
yeah.
to be doing inspections as that process takes place. So you can't really control, 20 years down the line, something you can't see from the road. But during the process at least, you could kind of make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to stay.
Maybe though, there's a way to Jeff's question to clarify on the record that it is our intention that that road be allowed to return back to its natural state. And make that just front and center really clear so that they don't have to dig through minutes from 10 years ago to try to find
Hmm.
that.
Would you like me to, I can talk to Attorney Ziska and see
Yeah.
if there's anything we could record
not?
on the land records themselves with the clerk.
I'm not sure we can do that, but in this file that we have control of, well, that'd be great if we
Let's
can.
ask
Yeah,
him.
I
Let's
can ask
Yeah.
him.
In this
Yeah.
file, let's assume we can't. In this file, is there anything else that we can do to keep that front and center and at the top of the pile, if
I
you
mean,
will?
we can staple it to the front cover. That's.
You could do that too.
Let's do the best
Well, I was just
highlight.
noticing too, on the lot plan there, it's stated that that is a wood road. Can that be changed to abandoned? Would that affect anything?
It's a good question.
I think a conversation with Mike is the
That's a
best thing to do.
surveyor thing, so the surveyors have different ways of calling things like that. So it would
Yeah, but
it would almost come from the land records. If it was abandoned, then they would pick up that language from there. You know what I'm saying? Because they
But
go
Mhm.
through
it's
the
not a
deed.
historic wood road, is it? It hasn't been here for 50 years, has it? No. I mean, it was created to go through a wetland. We never would have allowed that. So I
Yeah.
hate to even call it an abandoned wood road or even a wood road. It's a illegal pathway through the wetland.
Well, but some of the old wood roads, my parents used to own 10 acres of the land actually right up in that same area that was bought with the house that I live in that's on Studio Hill Road, and it was our wood lot.
Yes, but did it go
Our
through a
wood-
wetland?
And there's wood roads all through there that way predate any kind of
No,
regulation.
no, I do. I understand that, but that's not the
Yeah.
situation in this case, is it?
Right,
No,
well, I was just
we
gonna,
can see this being built on the satellite images.
Right.
okay.
I don't want to just call it a wood road and have
Ex-
people assume it's an old wood road that's been here for
Exactly, that's
100
why I
years.
wanted to avoid the use of that term.
Yeah.
So ideally, something would be allowed to be filed on the land records office. So I'll talk to Attorney Ziska, and if that's a possibility, then that's the best case scenario, and we'll work from there.
Yeah, thank you.
that sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move on to 6 communications written, and we have the site inspection report, which I think we've just talked through, right?
This is.
Oh, this is a different one. I'm sorry.
This is a different one. This is as a result of the last meeting where
Right.
the plantings were requested at 310 Kent Cornwall, and the other 2 neighbors had been present. You asked me to go out there and do a site walk based on the work that, had been done on that site. And
That's right. And I don't think I read through that.
yeah, I
wanna-
mean, I did go out there with Mr. Wynn, the property owner, on the adjacent property, and viewed it from his property and then the Papel's property above. Mr. Wynn was saying, if you remember, that his trees that he had planted along the property line were dying because of the water level due to the adjacent property. So in looking at the 310, it's everything seems a little bit intense. He's got like an agricultural thing going on there with many farm animals, and it was February, and you know how muddy and mucky everything gets in an area like that. But everything that appears to have been done, you can look in the file and there were permits for everything. So I don't think that they've done anything that they weren't allowed to do on that property. I think that you were right in kind of drawing the line a little bit at their last application, because any more intensity would probably result in more mucky and muddy and wetness without a proper plan. And looking at the Win Lewis property and those trees that were dying, those seem to be planted within regulated area. They have two ponds on their property, and although they said it was always dry before, it didn't seem like there was any reason to believe that they should have thought that that area was going to be dry. And honestly, they probably should have had a permit to plant those trees because they were within the regulated area. When I went up to the Papel property, there was no impact. They're higher. There was no impact at all as to what had been done on the other properties. So there seemed free and clear of any issues. I mean, so it is what it is. I think that you guys were probably pretty spot on and just kind of being careful about letting anything else happen there.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Mhm.
All right. Thank you very much, Ty.
Sure.
Okay, aquatic pesticides, we've got 3. I didn't have a chance to really carefully look at them.
I didn't even,
Did anybody?
no.
Again, this feels kind of like after the fact stuff, but it's important if the information's not correct that we let Deep know that, which is about all we can do.
Take a look. Club Getaway. It's 62 pages. I don't.
Oh, I think, Paul, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
I said that's quite a long draft copy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I can't comprehend this. I was too tired.
I mean, I looked at all 3 of them, Leonard Pond and Salts Pond. You know, they're the same ones that have been coming back for several years.
Yeah.
Treasure Hill Pond seems to be new. I thought that we'd send them a letter, you know, the form letter, kind of letting them know that there's alternatives. The other 2, they've gotten several of those letters. So it's like at this point, I don't know if it makes much sense to continue to send the same letter every year.
Yeah.
They do this every year?
Well, I think it's like a rotation of every 3. These permits are good for like 3 years or 2 years, but yeah, they've consistently come back to renew them. So it's just what they do.
Well, it doesn't hurt to send the letter. So what?
Okay, I can send all 3.
Okay. But does anybody see anything of note that we think we ought to alert the state about? I mean, the salts looked, the salts pond, that I did look at that one, looked, there was nothing wrong with, I mean, there's nothing incorrect.
Didn't see anything on the Leonard Pond application that looked wrong.
Thanks. What about Treasure Hill?
I haven't looked at that one yet.
Hmm?
I have not looked at that one yet.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Nothing that we do tonight is going to change this. But I would say for the purpose of moving on, that we take a look at them, and if there's an issue, we can bring it up at the next meeting and we can alert the state then. The biggest issue is if they consistently get, inaccurate information from an applicant, that's at least a red flag for them to look more carefully at these applications. coming from those those particular vendors. What do you think?
That makes sense.
All right,
Yes.
okay. And then moving on, we had verbal, and this is our discussion of our citation officer.
How
Did
about
anybody-
the Houstonic herbicide working?
Right.
group?
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Was
skipped
number
that.
3.
I skipped that. I apologize.
No worries.
Did everybody have a chance to read the information?
I'm partway through that too. See, it's only 8 pages. Jeez. What is it?
They're
Is it
looking
good?
for support for legislation, which I don't think we do as a commission. I could be wrong.
I mean, I think where we're at now is that it's actually gone to a House bill. They've been, working hard, and they've made some proposals with the legislature to, control some of the herbicide along the railroad. So that's pretty much they're just sharing where they're at with it. They're not asking for anything at this point. They're
Okay.
just letting you know,
Right.
like an FYI of, the progress that they've made or are trying to make.
I think it's awesome what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So with that explanation, is there anything else on that subject? Okay.
No.
What was that? Okay. Okay, now we can move on to the citation. Officer.
So I did reach out to both Michael Benjamin and Jesse Klingenbiel, and I reread the ordinance, and it allows you to appoint more than one. You can appoint one or several, and they're both willing to serve. So I
Yay.
think, I mean, you've got an ideal situation here where you could recommend to the first
Jeff,
selectman to appoint
agree.
them both. And then, they, because of the timing of these hearings too, if somebody's away, it's great to have a backup. And then I know you had concerns that they might find a conflict along the way. So,
That's great.
it's the idea that you have two really great people willing to do it. I think you've gotten really lucky. So,
Yeah.
you want to make the recommendation for me to send a memo to the first selectman to, appoint them both. I'm happy to do that.
Mutt and Jeff, welcome aboard.
I think that sounds great.
Yep, I agree.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, do we need a motion? Probably.
Yes, please.
I'm not gonna make this one.
I will happily make the motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they appoint Mike Benjamin and Jesse Klingenbiel as our citation hearing officers.
And I would just add to that motion, we should clarify for the selectmen that we can have 2 or more.
Oh,
We-
okay,
And
Says
we'd
it
like
right.
to for the
It
reasons.
says it right in the ordinance, but I will definitely point that out.
cool. Cool.
If that's okay with you, Marge, adding that to the motion. I didn't think I was gonna make a motion. We need a second.
I'll do it.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Abstention. That's great. Thank you, Ty. Thanks for doing that too. I'm so glad they both want to do it. That's
Yeah, me
really-
too. Very
All
cool.
How long
right.
ago was it that Jesse was on the commission? It was brief. Jesse was on our commission very, very briefly ages ago. Wasn't he?
That was before I came
know,
on.
I-
He's been on the River Commission.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I've
thought it was
worked with him
before
on the
that.
River Commission for ages, but
Right.
I don't remember him being on the Wetlands Commission. You could be right.
I thought
If he was on
very
and
brief.
off.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but good choice.
Yeah, they're both really good guys.
Oh,
so.
we get an awful lot of Kent school people on this commission, Jeff.
I know, it's bad news. They're my neighbors though, so what can I do?
It's great. All right. So anything else to come before the commission?
The only other thing that I could mention is, it's House bill time. So 5218 has some information I uploaded that it
Oh,
came
who's
kind of
gonna look
late,
at that?
It's got some information related to wetlands. I don't know if you're familiar with the training requirements for zoning commission members and ZBA commission members. It looks like they're going in that direction for wetlands commission members as well. So that's part of that bill. And then also part of that same bill is about riparian buffers. So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting stuff. It's not law yet, but it's just something to, know
Keep
what's,
an eye on.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Ty.
Thank you, Ty.
Very cool.
Did you send us an email with that information in it?
I did not. I
materials.
actually uploaded it to the
Oh,
the
it's in the file.
public drive, but I can send it as an email if you'd like.
I just want to make sure I read it because it sounds interesting.
That is, I'll get it to you guys.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else? Okay. Thanks, you guys. It's been a busy month. I hope you have a
Yeah.
nice holiday or whatever you do this coming weekend.
Yeah, I was wondering if we're gonna end up with any other after the fact permit applications after all that rain we had.
Oh,
Was it Saturday night?
oh my gosh.
This stuff got washed out.
Yep.
Yeah, tough. So,
Okay.
all right, I'm gotta get away from the computer screen. Good to see
Okay.
you all.
Thanks, you guys.
All right. Good night,
Bye-bye.
I
everybody.
gotta get back to the Yukon game.
Did we actually have a
That's right.
motion to adjourn? Do we have?
No,
a
we
motion?
need a,
We need a
So
motion
moved.
to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Paul. We need a second, really fast. Thank
Second.
you, Marge.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
Aye,
Bye.
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 No
Night.
abstention. No, okay, very good. Thanks, you guys.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
Too.